So I got started as a social worker almost 24 years ago. Just absolutely fell into it and started in a sexual abuse unit in a child protection agency where my job was to gather information from children. And at the time had absolutely no idea what I was doing, how I was going to do it. Learned basically how to interview kids from 3 different places. First, the kids that I talked with. It's that moment when a child looks at you like you're the stupidest person on the planet, and so you realize your questions are really dumb. Also from the law enforcement officers that I worked with, who would teach me kind of the corroboration pieces and the details that they needed in interviews. And then in court, knowing how I wasn't asking things right or being challenged or learning in cross-examination that maybe the way I asked the questions wasn't the best way. Not the best way to learn how to interview, not in court is not the best way. So for me, really trying to gather information and figuring out a way to interview children in a developmentally sensitive way was really important. So getting a copy of Anne Grafenwalker's book, the first edition, the Handbook on Questioning Children, was probably one of the most important resources for me as an interviewer, and it came after I'd been doing it many years the wrong way, and it really did change my life. So when we had an opportunity to do another edition, do a 3rd edition with Anne, it was a fabulous opportunity, and I couldn't have been more honored to be a part of the project to really put together the most contemporary, most updated resource for people that talk to children, whether it's child welfare professionals, law enforcement officers, attorneys that represent children or families, judges, magistrates, really anybody, forensic interviewers, people that gather information from children. It was really exciting to have an opportunity to put a resource together that would make a difference in the field like it did for me way back in 1995, years after I started. So some people wonder if this kind of information makes a difference or if we see an improvement in the courtroom or in interviews of children, and the answer is people that are passionate about minimizing miscommunication with children, when they get this information, it lights their fire, it lights their passion, and you see that there's a difference. But it takes a lot of work to consistently interview children in a developmentally sensitive way. But the book is there as a resource to support, to constantly go back to, and to really figure out how do we get children to talk about the things that they know in their own words. So one of the things that we know is that developmentally for children, when we're looking at who, what, where, when, and how, some of those questions are more concrete and they can answer them, and some of them are a little bit more abstract. And one of those abstract things is the concept of when or time. And so what we need to do as interviewers is learn about how we ask these questions better to make sure that kids are competent to get the most accurate and reliable information we can, and when is one of those things. So for example, children who are developmentally delayed, who can give you the who and the what and the where, probably can't give you the when. And we as interviewers need to figure out a way with those kids, those developmentally delayed kids, to allow them to tell us what we know and what they know in their own words. And so, for example, developmentally delayed kids in the courtroom, we need to honor the fact that they're good witnesses about their own lives, that they can give us this information in a narrative format, and that we as investigators or as the people in the system can then take what they tell us, the who and the what and the where, and they can go out and investigate and figure out the when, instead of, which is what is happening in many courtrooms, things getting thrown out because we can't figure out when something happened. So one of the really great things in the book, The Handbook on Questioning Children, Anne Grafenwalker's 3rd edition, there's a whole new piece on the idea of truth and lie and competency and the way that we can do this better in a way that's supported in the research. We have been so incredibly fortunate to have people like Dr. Tom Lyon assist us in the book to make sure that there's fidelity, to make sure that we're really looking at what the most current understanding is of kids' competency and kids' ability to understand truth and lie. And so go out and get the book so that you can get the most updated research, and thank Dr. Tom Lyon and Dr. Michael Lamb, who helped us really understand the impact of narratives and narrative inviting to increase the accuracy of children's statements. Thanks to both of them.